Good afternoon, YouTube. Today we're going to talk about a new feature coming in CIS 2.9. This is a demo as well as a example of this new feature. And there's also an image here if you want to preview it, provide some feedback. That would be great. This feature is one of the CRD enhancements that's coming in 2.9. We are enhancing CRDs to expose as many configurable objects as necessary within BigIP. One of the objects is the load balancing method. So by default, uses the AS3 load balancing method of round robin. Users want to modify that to one of these load balancing methods. And so in my example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the default round robin method of load balancing between the pools to using least connections. So whatever server has the least amount of connections will get the new connection, right? So that's what BigIP is going to use for its load balancing algorithm. We don't have to go into this too much. It's been covered for years. This is just enabling this logic within CRDs. So let's take a look at two example CRDs, one being the virtual server CRD and the transport server CRD. And you can see here that two independent CRDs, but I am using the same backend. So what it's going to do, since both ports are the same and both backend ports are the same, it's going to just create one pool. And that's fine just because I'm using the same load balancing method here. But if you have different applications and they have different methods of load balancing, then create two backends. That you can do as well. Just create two unique names here as for the specific backend service. I only have one service, so I'm just going to use the same name. The difference being here is that this is HTTP, this is TCP. Least connections make sense for both of them. What you can see here is that there's a new option here in the schema that says load balancing method, and you specify the method, and for example, it's one of these methods above. And you can pretty much change the method if you want. All you have to really do is just go ahead and select the different option that you want. Pretty simple. Let's go and take a look at how this works. So if we have a BigIP, let's refresh this BigIP. Inside my Kubernetes environment, it's blank. So let's go ahead and create one here. So we'll go ahead and do a kubectl, and what I want to do is I want to go ahead and create this VS, and then we will, so let's create the virtual server. So here's one. We can actually see that there's an API update there. You can see that there's the API. It's posted to the BigIP. If you get an error, what will actually happen is you'll get a 422 that comes back. And you can see that was earlier. I wanted to kind of demonstrate. I actually used the incorrect spelling. And I wasn't quite sure what the item was. I actually used least connections, and then what it came back and says, no, it's got to be least connections. Remember, this is basically coming back from AS3. It has to match the schema. So you could always look at the AS3 schema if you needed to, which will give you that reference. So taking a look at the virtual server, you can see it's a virtual server. There's a policy in play, and that's why it's not green. So you can see here that under the resources, there will be a policy. So what happens is the virtual is associated to the policy, and that's why it doesn't show up as green, unfortunately. But if we go down to the pool members, we can see the pool here, and there's a member here, and there is the value. That's the value right there, least connections, member, and we have two pools. We have two members of this pool, and if you want, we can connect to the virtual, and we can see the virtual is connected there. Let's go and create the transport server. So we'll just change back to, change to TS. So here is our we're going to go ahead and create our TS, our transport server. And you can see there's the API call, there's the post request, and then Big IP will respond. And it will get added to the Big IP. There's the TS. You can notice it's green because there's no policy when you have a transport server, and you can kind of see it right here. But again, it's associated to the pool, and since I'm using the same pool, it's basically associated to the member here. That's where the load balancing algorithm is. So note, if you have two different virtuals and you're not sharing the same pool, then create a unique pool name, and it will create a unique backend. So let's recap. We saw the demo. This feature is coming in 2.9. This is a simple CRD enhancement that enables you to change the load balancing method. You are welcome to use this preview. It is non-production. So go into CIS. If you want to test it, just pull this deployment here. You'll find this version right here. So give me some feedback. Again, preview only. If you wanted to test this feature, it's built on top of 2.8.1. You also require a schema update. So very important that you go in and update the schema, because this schema has a load balance method in here. We'll see right here in the schema pool member, you need the update of the schema, right? It's a CRD schema. So if you're going to do this, make sure you update your schema as well, else this will not work. Thank you so much. If you like this video, please subscribe as well as like. If you have any questions, please let me know.